Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Kulmbach in Franconia in Germany, which of course is in the northern part of Bavaria, a very beer rich region of the country actually, and really quite beautiful as well, to be honest. So we're going to go to a brewery I've reviewed quite a few times for you, Kulmbacher Mönchshof, and we're having a taste of their Kellerbier today. And the Kellerbier, of course, is a style that is native to that Franconia region in Germany. It comes in at 5.4%, and this beer was very kindly given to me by my flatmate Matthias, who actually grew up in Franconia. Very lucky guy, I'm very jealous of him for that. But a big thank you to Matthias for providing this beer for me, and I hope you enjoy the review. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery and the monasteries associated with this one. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Kulmbacher Mönchshof before. I probably will add more in the near future, and there's all the usual social media. Make sure you check that out. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel. And as always, to those of you watching in Germany, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other German beers and breweries you guys would like to see reviewed. I do love German beer, so I will try my best to review the ones that you guys request. So anyway, as I mentioned to you, this brewery is from Kulmbach in the northeastern corner of Bavaria, which of course is famous for many German foods, and also the Plassenburg Castle as well, which oddly enough actually houses the largest tin soldier museum in the world. But like many breweries in Germany, the Mönchshof brewery is associated with the religious history of the country. The brewery itself associates with both the Cistercian and the Augustiner monks. So the Cistercian monks in Kulmbach were well known as hard-working people. They came to wealth through agriculture, livestock and fish farming near the Roden forest. But the Cistercian monastery actually had so much land that they had to create an administrative division in the 14th century, and this was known as the Langheimer Amtshof in Kulmbach. When the Langheimer Amtshof is actually located in the district of Bleich, and it was in fact the home of the Mönchshof brewery for a period of time, although it's not known exactly when the brewing went on here. They really don't know when it started. But on the other hand, the Augustiner monks' only activity was brewing, and their first documented brewing activities date back to the year 1349, and their monastery was in Margarv, which was located near Kulmbach, Old Town, and it's actually a timber market today, oddly enough. But the volume of beer produced by the Augustiner monks was so large that they actually had to introduce a drink tax even in the early days of the brewery, and the current brewery site is apparently on the site of the courtyard of this old Augustiner monastery, which is referred to Mönchshof in old records, and that's why of course they named their brewery Kulmbacher Mönchshof. So apparently they're not sure exactly where the name where this word Mönchshof actually came from, but their labels and mugs that date from the year 1900 that actually have this name on it. They're not sure exactly when they started to use it officially, but 1528 of course saw the introduction of Reformation in Kulmbach, and so the monasteries disbanded and their lands and buildings were secularised, and most of them actually became part of private estates. And the first owners of this private estate were the Kriepner family, who actually bought it in 1803, and it doesn't say what happened to the brewery on the website during the 16th, 17th and 18th centuries, but the estate was acquired by Erhard Ender, and he began the production of malt in Mönchshof, and later, beginning in the 1860s, the Hering family was actually instrumental in the creation of the brewery in its current form today. Now, Simon Hering apparently used to brew beer in the Kommune Brauhaus, and then he took his beer to the Castle Rock cellars to mature, and Simon actually applied for the brewery license in 1863 and then started brewing commercially the following year, with his early brews apparently being exported to America. And in this early stage, the brewery was actually called the Export Beer Brewery Simon Hering, and Simon later passed the brewery to his son Henry, who actually turned the brewery into a privately owned company and a joint stock business to fund major expansions to the brewery, and a large part of the shares were actually bought by merchants from Dresden, and at this point the company was trading as the Export Kulmbach Brauerei Mönchshof. And because of some of the disputes that were going on with this new corporate company, Simon Hering actually founded another small brewery called Mitlau, which passed on to the Kulmbach Actium Brauerei in 1897. So to get towards the end of this, the corporation actually proved to be a good move for the brewery, and it grew rapidly for a number of reasons. The main one was the economic success of the late 19th century in Germany and the use of modern equipment and things like that, and at this time the beers went on display around the world: Chicago and Belgium, Nuremberg, Paris, all over these places, and this really increased the profile of Kulmbacher beer. But by 1892 the company was doing so well that they actually had their own private railway that links to the German rail network, and although they had fairly easy access to the network prior to this, the Mönchshof siding is actually still used today for tourist purposes during the summer, and there's a number of historic trains actually running on this line. And in 1904, the company helped in the creation of the Prairie Republic Gardens in Blyth, and they also created a beer garden as part of this, which proved to be very popular with the locals. And after this, of course, came the First World War and the peace years. And during the peace years, the brewery were brewing a beer called Friedensbrau, which was actually had quite a high alcohol content. In the interwar years and during the Second World War and the late 1940s, the brewery had consistently falling sales, but then began to recover in the early 1950s. And by the 1960s, it was actually the best-selling brewery within Kulmbach United Breweries, which was their local association. In 1962, the company reverted to being a limited company, and it went into the hands of the Musseldorfer family. However, in 1984, the brewery merged with Reichelbrau, who were also based in Kulmbach, and this meant the closure of the actual Mönchshof facility, but the beer was still produced in the Reichelbrau brewery. And this was soon reversed in 1991, when the old brewery was reopened and also expanded to contain a restaurant and beer garden. And in 1997, the Mönchshof brewing was moved to the Kulmbacher brewery, ending their 112-year association with this old building. And some of the brewery buildings also host the Bavarian Beer Museum, actually, which opened in 1994, and apparently this now contains a small pilot brewery of 7 hectolitres, which is made completely of glass, actually enough, and this is so that visitors can see the brew during the process. And the museum expanded in 2002, and they also host the Bavarian Bakery Museum as of 2008 as well. So that's quite a long history actually for this video, so I hope you guys stuck with me through that. But these guys have got quite a few different beers. There's the Bayerische Hell, the Bockbier, Festbier, Helles, this one here, the Kellerbier, Kulmquell, Leibichenbier, which is a Dortmund Helles, Lager, Maibock, Marengold Landbier, and they also have the Schwarzbier, the Original Pils, and the Weihnachtsbier as well. So they've got a good selection of beers, and as I said, these guys are one of the better known Franconian breweries. So let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself now. That was a longer history than I remember it being when I filmed it before. So as you can see, nice artwork on there. You can see Keller, of course, in German means cellar, and you can see the beer in the barrels to mature there within the cellar, and you can see one of the monks just on the Mönchshof badge as well. That's also on this pop top here, and you can see on the top label too. So as I said, this one is a 5.4% Keller beer, which is a style native to Franconia in Germany. So we'll get this guy open and get on with the tasting then. A nice bang on that one, and once again, thank you to Matthias for bringing this beer back from Germany with him. Usually I think you would drink this beer out of a Stein tankard. The Germans are very particular about what glasses they want their beers drank out of. Personally, I find that it's a bit of a placebo effect. I don't think the glass makes too much difference to the flavour, if I'm honest, but that's just my opinion. But the Germans are very insistent when it comes to glass, so normally you would drink this one out of a Stein, but personally I find these tulip glasses are very good regardless of what kind of style of beer you drink. So as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice, if I bring the light over and just let you see this, you can see the beer has poured quite a rich kind of ambery orange colour. There's a solid finger of a frothy kind of creamy coloured head on this one. It looks very nice actually. There is a degree of transparency, but I think because it's natural light outside instead of artificial light. I'm filming in the day at the moment. You can't see the colour of the beer so well. Probably just where this little dot is, that gives you an idea of the real colour of this beer. It's actually quite bright. There's some sediment visible in this one and quite a few little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head. So let's have a smell of this beer and see how we get on. So as you would expect from the Keller beer, you've got a nice kind of bready malt base. You know, you always expect that from the Keller beers. It's got a nice kind of bready and quite doughy, yeasty character coming out. There's maybe just a little bit of biscuity, kind of grainy character to this one too. But you're also getting the kind of typical German noble hops, you know, a little bit of floral character, some kind of grassiness in there too. It's probably Hallertau hops, or maybe Tecknanger that they're using in this one. More likely Hallertau, I think. There are other types of hops from near Nuremberg, of course, but there's probably, most likely, it's Bavarian or even Franconian hops that are in this beer. It didn't say on the website when I looked it up. But yeah, you can smell that, the nice grassy kind of floral and slightly herbal aromas actually in this one, but it smells very, very nice. These beers are always quite light and refreshing. They're good summer beers, and it's actually just getting into summer here in Sweden now, so this is a good beer for a bit of a session. So yeah, there's a bit of citrus in here too, but overall these Keller beers aren't too big on the aromas. The idea is that these are nice kind of sessionable beers actually. So yeah, enjoy the aroma of this one a little bit before you get stuck into it. But we'll try this beer now. This one is the Kellerbier from Kulmbacher Brauerei Mönchshof in Kulmbach, Germany, Franconia. Prost. Yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect. A nice kind of bready, malty beer, this one. Yeah, it's nice. From what I remember, the Kellerbier is supposed to have just it's supposed to be mainly bready, but there is a little bit of hop presence in it, and you do get a little bit of that hoppy dryness from this one. It makes it a bit crisp and quite drinkable. Yeah, that's a pretty good beer, that. I mean, in terms of the Franconian beers, you will get some ones that blow your mind from some of these breweries in Franconia. These guys are one of the bigger breweries, and probably you are better to go to some of these brauhouses and things if you want to see what the style is really like on that level. I mean, this is a good one, but it's intended as a kind of big sale beer, if you like. This is probably more of an industrial brewed version, but I mean, at the same time, it is quite drinkable and it is quite nice. I mean, Germany is one of the countries I find that even with the industrial beer, some of the industrial beers are done pretty well actually in comparison to other countries. Yeah, this is nice. I mean, it's what you'd expect. It's a good quality German beer. When it's from Franconia, you wouldn't expect anything less. So let's dissect the flavour of this beer a little bit more. So yeah, as I was saying, from the aroma, you've got a nice big bready malt base on this one. It's actually quite doughy and quite yeasty, to be honest with you. That just blankets the middle of your tongue. It has that kind of underlining bread character, but then you get the thicker, yeasty, doughy flavours on top of that. There's maybe a bit of a biscuity, kind of slightly corn syrupy sweetness to this one. You know that I always talk about digestive biscuits that we get back home in Scotland, and this one has a little bit of that quality to it. There's not the richer caramel that you would get in certain cases. But yeah, it's nice in that regard, that the malt base is exactly what you'd expect from the style, of course. Around the back edges of the tongue, you get a little hint of earthiness, you know, the classic German noble hop traits. As you come further forward, it becomes a little bit more floral, and around the front curve of the tongue, it's smooth and grassy. It's quite nicely done, actually. I mean, the flavour in this is very well balanced. It's not as kind of prominent as you like. You know, some beers like Schlenkerla are absolutely bursting with flavour. Genstaller are a brewery really to watch out for in Franconia. I reviewed them quite recently for you, and their beers are just, you know, bursting with flavour. There's so much going on in this one. This one is a bit lighter than that and more of a kind of smooth, easy drinking beer. As I say, it's a bit more kind of mass produced than some of the other ones you'll find in Franconia, but it's good and it's a nice, easy drinking beer. That's what it's intended to be. So yeah, fair to say that a bready, doughy malt base, some nice kind of cereally character in there, a little bit of a kind of almost corn syrup, biscuity type thing around the edges of the tongue, a bit of earthy character as you come forward, kind of floral aromatic hops, and some smooth grassy character as well. Really quite nice beer, quite easy drinking, exactly what you would expect from the style, so it gets a thumbs up from me, I guess. In terms of the mouthfeel, this one, I would say this is mid-bodied. It has that smooth carbonation that you normally associate with German beer. It's quite malt-centred, this one, but the hops start to come out a little bit later on, particularly in the aftertaste. You start to get more of the hoppy character out of the beer, but it does have a good malty sweetness. The hops have a little bit of a drying quality to it as well. But overall, it is a pretty nice beer, this one. I have enjoyed trying this one for you, and I don't think I'd tried this before. I have tried the other Mönchshof ones, but never actually this one. But it's a good quality beer, and the whole idea behind it is that it's a nice kind of sessionable German beer. So if you enjoy your big bready German beers, then you probably will enjoy this one. So keep an eye out for it. I would guess Lidl stores are big for bringing over German beer, and some of the bigger breweries like this, you probably will find it in Lidl stores in the UK and further afield as well. So make sure you give it a try and see what you think. And as always, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. As I said, let me know your own thoughts on this beer below. Let me know your favourite beers from this brewery as well. Always interesting to hear from you guys about the beers, and let me know your favourite beers from Franconia too, and hopefully I can try some more of those, because as I say, I love German beer, and I've been to Franconia a couple of times, and it's a beautiful place, and I love the beer that you guys can get down there. So let me know about that. But until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out my social media, and do go and try some Franconian beer if you haven't tried already. One of the best beer regions in the world, in fact, and there's so much beer to choose from. Go and visit it. Absolutely beautiful place. So I hope you've enjoyed this beer review, and until the next time, Slanja just now, and I will catch you soon. Go and check out some Kulmbacher Mönchshof beers and come back and let me know your thoughts on them. Slanja.